Okay, welcome everyone. It's just after 8:30 and I'm so glad that you guys are willing to take a little bit of time out of the probably one of the busiest weeks of the year, right? To sit and learn about essential oils. My name is Melissa Christopher and I have two children and a husband. My husband, Josiah, we've been married for almost 9 years and he works at Shields in Sioux Falls and he is putting our kids to bed as we speak. So he is a good daddy. My two kids are Callie and Cohen. They are 1 and 4. That's a sweet little picture of them. And they use oils as well. So I'm hoping to share a little bit of their experiences too with essential oils so that if you do have kids at home, you can learn how to safely use essential oils with them as well. I have been using essential oils for almost 3 years, but it's been a very abbreviated 3 years. So 3 years doesn't seem like a very long time to me, but I have immersed myself in essential oils because I started off with an oil experience, is what we like to call them. I had never heard of essential oils before, but I had been in the natural health world for about 8 years, learning about how to get chemicals out of my home, how to switch out processed foods into good foods, looking for good fats, and a lot of those things that a lot of people on here are already familiar with. So when my daughter got sick, she was probably over a year old, in that range, maybe 6 to 18 months. I can't remember exactly, but she had some major respiratory distress. So a lot of expulsions and just restlessness, not feeling well. You can tell when they're little and they just don't feel well, right? Well, she wasn't sleeping because she couldn't breathe through her nasal passages. So I was sharing this story with a friend of mine and she said, well, are you using oils? And at that time, I knew nothing about essential oils, so I was almost like offended by the question. Like, yeah, we're using oils. I have coconut oil I've put on her. I've got olive oil, avocado oil. Like, what kind of oils do you want me to use? And she just laughed, and she's like, no, essential oils. And so no matter where you're at tonight, you may not even understand the word essential oils. I promise you, it doesn't even need to take you 3 years. You can get to my understanding of how essential oils work in the body. So she introduced an essential oil to me called Breathe. It's a respiratory blend, proprietary blend made by doTERRA. And what she told me to do was just take a drop of oil, drop it into my hands, use some carrier oil, and rub it all over my daughter's feet and then all over her upper back, and then lay her down to sleep. And that's exactly what I did. I still really knew nothing what I was doing. I mean, my husband's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, just rub it on the feet. That's what we're supposed to do. And she ended up sleeping nearly through the night that night after nights and nights of waking up, screaming, can't breathe, sucking out the nose. I mean, if you're a parent, you've been through that, right? Really frustrating. And so then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what's in this? Because I've never had a natural product give me that kind of an experience without some kind of chemical in it, right? Most of you are in that world where you haven't, you're not using chemicals and you would be skeptical if something worked that good, right? And so I went back to start learning more about essential oils. I went back to my friend and said, hey, what is this stuff? Where does it come from? And thus began my learning journey. So I'm going to start you all the way back at the beginning. Anybody that's got their videos on, who's got essential oils in their home that they're already using? Yes, most of you. Okay. So maybe this is review for you, but I think it's important still to understand where essential oils come from because it gives us more confidence as we use them. So what is an essential oil? It is the volatile liquid extract full of compounds that have a therapeutic effect on the body. So they're aromatic for sure. A lot of people just use essential oils because they smell good. But what I'm going to teach you tonight is how to find a therapeutic grade essential oil that can actually give you therapeutic health benefits to the body. So it's a volatile compound, meaning active. The compounds are literally leaping out of the bottle. This bottle of lemon, if I just left it open like this with the cap off, within a few minutes, you would say, is someone using lemons? You would smell it, not realizing that they're literally volatile, jumping out of that bottle. Compounds, meaning it's all different chemical compounds found in this liquid extract that makes it work. So where does it come from? The earth, right? Can anyone name? Y'all can chat with me. Serena can't get her video to work. It's not crucial for it to work. I think you can still hear me, hopefully. But if you, you should be able to mess with your video down on your bottom bar there. So where do they come from? Y'all can either message me or you can just nod your head if you agree. But they're coming from the earth. So the bark, the roots, the stems, the leaves, the flowering buds of a plant, or we've got citrus oils. They come from the rinds of the fruit. So lemon, grapefruit, lime, bergamot, what am I forgetting? Wild orange. All of those essential oils come from the rind of the fruit. Everything else comes from the parts of the other parts of the plant. So when we're talking about essential oils, we're literally talking about what God made. That's what essential oils are. And one drop is very potent. So if anyone follows me on Instagram today, I posted a video that I used one drop of lemon essential oil on a sticker that had been stuck on the bottom of my jar for literally months, and it completely took care of it. So very powerful, potent. Just one drop. I'll explain why that is in a little bit. So essential oils have been used for a long, long time. These aren't trendy. They're becoming trendy because people are finding out that they're really beneficial. And so more and more companies are trying to make them pretty much as fast as they can. But essential oils have been around forever. And what a beautiful time to talk about essential oils. What is probably the first essential oil you ever heard about? Have you ever heard of frankincense and myrrh? Those are essential oils. So we've literally been hearing about essential oils for centuries. They used them all the way back into Jesus's time. The wise men brought them as gifts because they were so revered and so important for health and recovery and use back then. So even in King Tut's tomb, they had many alabaster jars filled of essential oils. They buried him with essential oils because they were so rare. His tomb was robbed twice, if you know your history a little bit, and the essential oils were one of the first things stolen from the tomb. The essential oil that was used on Jesus's feet before he was crucified, Mary rubbed that all over his feet with her hair. That was a year's wage worth of essential oils used back then. So they've always been revered. But the thing is, we've gotten farther and farther away from using them because of our world and in the pharmaceutical world, right? So those people that are looking for safe alternatives, people that are trying to get chemicals out of their home, chemicals out of their food, chemicals out of their cleaning, chemicals out of your skincare, you're typically resorting to products that have no aroma, right? Because typically aroma is toxic. Well, not when it comes from the earth, and that's what essential oils are. So why use essential oils? Just like I said, you're maybe looking for an alternative. Over 100,000 Americans die every year from properly prescribed prescription drugs. So that means someone says, here, take this. And you take it home, you do it exactly how you're supposed to, at the right time, the right dosage, and 100,000 Americans are dying still every year from very dangerous drugs in our world. So I would say that in my house, we have eliminated nearly 90 to 95% of any need to have a clinic visit because of what we've learned about natural health, getting chemicals out of our home, and using essential oils in a therapeutic way. They are potent. They're powerful. So one drop of peppermint essential oil, this is how you use it. You take the bottle and you literally tip it until one drop comes to the orifice. Boop, one drop. One drop of peppermint essential oil costs 4 cents, 10 cents, something like that, 8 cents. And it has the therapeutic value of 28 cups of peppermint tea. 28! That's crazy, right? One drop, therapeutic value of 28 cups of peppermint tea. Why do people drink peppermint tea? For digestion, right? Ease, maybe you're going to this week, right? You're going to overeat like maybe all of us have done over from Thanksgiving all the way to Christmas, and maybe you drink peppermint tea, or maybe you have a cert or something that goes in that's peppermint related to help ease that digestion. That's exactly what peppermint essential oil does, but it's 28 times more potent in one drop than 28 cups of peppermint tea. So it's more potent than herbs. In fact, 75 times more potent than herbs. And the essential oil molecules are designed to fit our design. So hopefully all of us on here can agree we were built by a creator, and our earth was built by a creator. So the intelligence that went into the making of us, these essential oils have the same intelligence, and they know how to work with our body. So within 26 seconds, anything on the skin is absorbed into the body, and less time than that, essential oils are going to work to service every single cell in the body. They can be used aromatically through our olfactory system. Every time I hold the peppermint, you're like, why is she squinting? So I've got this peppermint now right up near my face. It's very uplifting and energizing, but it's like a lot for your eyes. So that's just one drop. So aromatically, I'm experiencing it aromatically. That scent is going through my nose. It's clearing out my sinuses. I can feel it down through my respiratory system. And the deeper I breathe, I can feel it way down deep into my throat, into my lungs. Anybody need a little respiratory relief here as we go into this season? Maybe you have someone in your home that's dealing with chronic respiratory stuff for several days. Maybe they're not sleeping well at night because of it. Maybe they're keeping you up at night because of it. Peppermint essential oil aromatically can open up airways. It can soothe our bronchioles. And it can give us an energizing boost in our mind because of the way that essential oils interact with our olfactory system, our pituitary gland, everything in our brain. In fact, most of those pituitary, amygdala, hypothalamus, they're running the control centers of our body. They're telling our hormones how to release. They're setting our sleep cycles, our sex drives, our energy levels, our weight loss, our metabolism, all of that run in those tiny, tiny little parts of our brain. And if you do some research on the brain, you'll learn that the best thing to ignite all of those areas to work better and more efficiently is aroma. So essential oils aromatically is one of the most powerful ways to experience essential oils. It is our most powerful sense. And it is really impactful to anything that you use that uses the brain to function. So there's ways to use essential oils aromatically. It may just be opening up the bottle and breathing it. My father-in-law is not an essential oil fan. He thinks they're hokey, right? Have you ever experienced someone that thinks what you're doing is a little bit hokey because it's not culturally understood? It's okay. He just doesn't have any education on essential oils, but he doesn't need to have any education on essential oils for them to work. He had some head tension a couple of days ago when I was at his home, and I opened up a blend that's called Past Tense. It has peppermint essential oil in there, which is calming. And all he did was smell it because he wouldn't put it on because he didn't want to stink, right? He wouldn't even put it on. And all he did was smell it, but he couldn't get away from the smell because it smelled so good. And he smelled it for about 10 minutes and he said his headache went away. Whoa. I said, you don't even need to believe in essential oils and they still work for you. It was good. So that's aromatic use. You can do that by just opening up the bottle and smelling it like he did. Or you can have a fancy system like this. It's called a diffuser. I love diffusing oils. And in fact, it's very scientific. It's not just because it's pretty, but this cool mist, this ultrasonic diffuser, meaning there's water mixed with a cool mist that creates a cool mist. That's called ultrasonic. That means that when the essential oils are misted into the air, they're actually breaking apart the molecules of odor. They're actually purifying the air and they're impacting our olfactory system. We're smelling it, our body's interacting with it. And even after we're done smelling it, it might still be going because our nose is the first to get bored, right? Maybe you walk into your house and it stinks. Within about 15 minutes, maybe you don't smell it anymore. Our nose gets bored, but that doesn't mean that that's not still interacting with our brain and our body. And so diffusing is really powerful because it shoots that essential oil particles up into the air and then they stay suspended there for a long time, sometimes hours. That's using oils aromatically. The second way to use oils is topically. And this might be what you're familiar with. You've maybe seen someone with a roller ball. Maybe you've seen me post about these. This is so easy to make. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a roller ball. So we're going to start with Protective Blend. This is what keeps your immune system strong. It has oils like cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, rosemary, wild orange. And I'm going to drop 7 drops into this roller ball. So this is an empty glass bottle. Here goes 7 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 drops. It's called On Guard Protective Blend. Then we're going to do lemon is our next essential oil. I don't have lemon down here actually. So we're gonna do bergamot. That's another citrus oil that has immune boosting properties. And we're gonna do 7 drops of that oil into this roller ball. I actually know someone that's using bergamot for respiratory concerns with her daughter and has seen really cool results there. Bergamot is good for that. And then finally, we're gonna put in some frankincense. Frankincense is another immune boosting oil. We're gonna do 5 drops of frankincense. Now, when you use oils topically, you wouldn't want to use oils completely like that. So that's not diluted at all. It needs to be diluted. They're so potent and powerful. I say that almost in every single instance, essential oils should be diluted. The only time I don't dilute oils when I use them topically is when I have a burn or a bite, because those are very acute things. So here is my fractionated coconut oil. It's got a handy pump on it. This comes from Amazon. And I just literally pump right into that bottle. And then I put on my roller ball. Hold on. All right. It snaps down in there. And now this is ready for topical use. It literally rolls on. So you could use your immune boosting oil right on your wrists. I like to use it right on my lymph nodes, maybe down my eustachian tubes. The bottom of the feet is a really good place to apply oils, or along the spine. So for my kids, I do a swipe down the spine and all over their feet when I think they might be feeling kind of funny. And almost every single time it takes care of it. When I feel like I've got an irritated throat, I use those oils and I rub them all along my lymph nodes, down my eustachian tubes. But this allows me to use my oils consistently, and that's the best way to get results. So I have lots and lots of recipes that I make my own roller balls with. Everyone that's on my team always gets access to those, and then we get together and we make roller balls. How easy was that? And how cute is this? Who doesn't want this in their Christmas stocking, right? Hint, hint, whoever's got my name on their list. I buy all different colors, and then you can ribbon them up and whatever you want to do. Find cute labels. That is the Immune Boost Roller. It is safely diluted for anyone probably 10 years and older. If you've got wee ones, little ones like newborns, 1-year-old, 2-year-olds, under 6, then you're going to want to dilute that differently, probably less drops, and I can go through that with you personally if you've got those kind of needs. But that's using oils topically. The last way to use oils is internally. Maybe you've heard about this, and maybe you've heard mixed opinions about this. I want to set the record straight a little bit on taking essential oils internally. When you think about where an essential oil comes from, like lemon, the rind of a lemon, nobody would think it was weird if I told them to chew on the rind of a lemon, right? And in fact, some of you probably cut some and put it in your lemonade or in your water. That is where essential oils come from. And as long as they are 100% pure with no fillers, no sprays, no pesticides, no additives, no preservatives, then essential oils are safe to ingest. Even more so if they've got a supplement facts label on it. And that's what doTERRA has. On the bottles of the essential oils that can be used internally, there's literally a supplement facts label on that. Can you see that? 1 drop in 4 fluid ounces of liquid. So I use essential oils like lemon or grapefruit or immune boosting blend or peppermint in my water or in a capsule, and I take them internally. Have you ever seen empty veggie caps? These are so inexpensive and so easy to use. Empty veggie cap, they open up. You can drop your essential oils in there. You can even drop some olive oil in there if you want to dilute it, and then down the hatch. Every 3 to 4 hours, you could do the same oils that I've got in here topically, obviously less drops, but they would go in this capsule, and you could take them to help boost your immune system when you're under attack. We have done that several times, and it is so awesome. So awesome. That's using oils internally. So here's what we got to talk about though. Not all oils are created equal. Is anybody frustrated by this? They're starting to get into the world of essential oils, and there's oils everywhere, and they're all different prices, and they're all different labels, and they're all different companies, and everybody claims to be pure 100%, right? How can that be? That was really frustrating to me when I first got started looking into this, because people were asking questions from me about different brands and different companies, and I'm like, I don't know how one company can charge $9 for an essential oil and another one can charge $93. That doesn't make sense to me. So I've done a lot of looking into it, a lot of time, a lot of research. So I want to give you some information. So when you go out to purchase essential oils, when you want to start using them aromatically, topically, internally for therapeutic health benefits, I want you to know what to look for. So here's the first thing: sourcing. The source of where your essential oil is grown is really important because it will dictate the entire level of compounds in the oil. So let me back up and explain it in maybe some language you would understand if you're new to oils. Maybe you've purchased Vidalia onions before. So why are there white onions on the shelf and Vidalia onions on the shelf? And it costs a different amount to buy Vidalia rather than white onions. If I plant white onions in my backyard, I can't label them Vidalia. Why not? Vidalia onions grow in a very specific area of Georgia. And the soil in that area has a different content than other soils in the area. That specific area has a very low sulfur content of the soil. So when onions grow up, they have a very sweet taste, right? That's what sets Vidalia apart from white onions. And it's all because of where the plant is grown. So when the plant is grown in one place versus another, it's going to be different. It's going to smell different. It's going to taste different. And the compounds of that plant are going to be different. I see there's a question there, and I'm going to look on it. I'm going to look at it here in just a second. So let's talk about where doTERRA sources all of their oils. There's a word that you should be familiar with if you're not already, and it's called indigenous. Maybe you've heard the word native. That means the same thing. Indigenously sourced essential oils are going to be the most potent, powerful, therapeutic, effective oils that you can purchase anywhere. So that is something you need to be conscious of. Where were these oils sourced? So someone had said there's another brand of rosemary that says for external use only. So my rosemary, I wonder if I have it. I don't have it down here with me. If it says for external use only, then obviously it should not be used internally. That's what they're telling you right there. Most of my oils have supplement facts label on that says they can be used internally. And I'll go into that because that's something you should be watching. When they're sourced indigenously, meaning they're from the plant, they're from the area that they're native to, then they're going to have the best climate, the best rainfall, the best soil for that plant. Because if they're sourced natively, that means where God planted them originally. And don't we all agree that God probably planted his plants where he knew they would grow best? So lavender, indigenously sourced, would come from France. And that's where doTERRA sources every bottle of lavender. Peppermint, indigenously sourced in Washington State. Lemon, indigenously sourced in Sicily, Italy. Frankincense, indigenously sourced in the Middle East, right out of Saudi Arabia, Oman area. Let me think. Bergamot also comes from Sicily, Italy, both lemon and bergamot. Melaleuca is also known as tea tree. It is indigenously sourced from Australia. So I know that every single time I open a bottle of doTERRA, this is French lavender. It's lavender that came from France. It didn't come from Utah. It didn't come from Florida. It didn't come from Antarctica. It came from France, and it smells the same every single time I open it. And that is assuring to me because I know that the therapeutic benefits that I'm expecting out of this lavender are going to be present there every single time. But how do I actually know that? The second thing you have to know about your essential oil brand is whether or not it's tested. Because things might change, right? And I want to know that the compounds are the exact same in here. I want to know that nothing got messed up on the farm where they were growing lavender. And so doTERRA says we're going to test every single bottle and we're going to make sure that the compounds that we expect to be there from lavender are there every single time. There's only about 3 companies in the world that are testing their essential oils. It's important that you know that yours are. doTERRA is testing and they're indigenously sourcing. No essential oil that doTERRA sells is sprayed. So that means it's better than organic. It's not just organic, it's just never sprayed in the first place. It's left to its original state. There's no fillers, there's no additives, There's no preservatives in this essential oil. So it's 100% pure essential oil. And a bottle of this size has 250 drops in it. A bottle of this size has 85 drops. So 5 milliliters, 15 milliliters. And remember I was telling you 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. If they're pure and potent, you don't need very many drops. I had shared lavender essential oil with someone one time, and I told her just take 1 or 2 drops, maybe 3, and put it all over your feet, all over the back of your neck, maybe rub the remainder on your pillow. She was having trouble sleeping, very restless. And she said she slept like a rock that night. I only had given her like 10 drops of that oil, so she used it 2 or 3 nights in a row. And then she didn't get back in contact with me. I can't remember what happened. There was some time in between. And by the time I followed up with her, she had actually gone out and purchased another brand of essential oils at the store. And it was lavender because it had helped her so much. And she said, I had to call you back because I'm interested in why now I'm using 10 to 12 drops every time to help my body rest. And with yours, I was only using 2 to 3. And I said, well, if it's not 100% pure, it could be diluted. And what I found out about the regulation on essential oils is that there is hardly any regulation in the industry. For a company to label their oils pure, therapeutic, do you know what percentage of essential oils they need to have in the bottle? What do you think? Anybody want to take a guess that doesn't already know the answer? Hold up your fingers. 10, 3%, 3 to 5%. I've seen in between 3 to 5% essential oil in the bottle for it to be labeled therapeutic. That's all that's required of it. So if you're buying an oil off the shelf and you don't have any way to look into whether or not it's 100% essential oils and it says pure therapeutic, it might be pure. The 3% oil that's in there might be pure oils. The other 97%, we have no idea what it is, and it's not regulated, so it doesn't matter for that company. So that's important to consider. Indigenously sourced, tested, and pure. Purity, potency, and indigenously sourced. And then tested by a third party. doTERRA actually has numbers on the bottom, lot numbers, and you can type those into a website called source2u.com, and you can find out exactly where the oils came from, where they're sourced from, and what testing was done on that oil. And in fact, there's literally graphs of the testing, so you can see the compounds that are showing up in that oil every time. That's really cool. I don't know any other company that's doing that. And that makes me feel really confident because when I'm putting these oils on myself, when I'm taking them internally, when I'm putting them on my children, I have to know that what's in there is 100% pure and that it was tested. I can't mess around with things that aren't. We don't spend all this time like reading labels on our food and getting chemicals out of our cleaning products and our beauty products and then start using oils that we don't know where they're coming from. So, bottled without fillers, tested, safe process, specific harvest, not sprayed, grown indigenously. Those are important things to consider because there's all different grades, right? You've got a synthetic essential oils. That's what's in your candles and your perfume. You've got food grade essential oils. That's in your gum and your toothpaste. And then you've got therapeutic grade, but that only means 3 to 5% essential oil. So doTERRA said, we're going to label ours certified pure therapeutic grade CPTG, and we're going to put it on the label so that we know that every person that interacts with our oils knows that all of those items have been met every single time. So let's talk about some specific oils and how to use them. Get into the good stuff, right? Now that we know how to look for good essential oils, we know why essential oils are so powerful, where they come from, the 3 ways to use them. Let's apply all of that as we go into lemon essential oil. This is the most inexpensive oil, but oils that are inexpensive versus oils that are expensive doesn't mean that this one is better than this one. It just means this one takes more to process. So lemon essential oil is only $10 wholesale, 4 cents for every little drop that comes out of here. And lemon is a powerful oil. It is really good for the immune system. And do you know why? Lemon is mucolytic. It breaks up mucus, and it's impactful to the lymphatic system. Anybody know what the lymphatic system is all about? Does anybody, when they first start feeling signs of getting under the weather, what happens? Maybe you start clearing your throat more. You've got drainage. Maybe you're getting filled up in here. That's your lymphatic system going to work. It's encountered a toxin, and now it's creating mucus, moving lymph through the body to get those toxins out. So initially they appear like symptoms and problems, right? That's actually a good sign that your body's immune system is working. Well, lemon assists that process. It looks for petrochemicals in the body. It helps release toxins out of your cells, and it helps move mucus through the body. So I use lemon on an irritated throat. I'll put 1 or 2 drops on a teaspoon of honey and I just swallow it. And normally every single time it takes care of it. Maybe I'll put it in some warm tea, or I'll rub it all over my eustachian tubes on my lymph nodes like I talked about before. I also use it to clean. I use it to get stickers off, if you saw my Instagram post today, because it eats petrochemicals. It's literally a natural goo gone, and it eats petrochemicals. It knows bad bacteria and good bacteria, and it takes care of the bad. And it smells incredibly refreshing. Lemon is uplifting. I like to diffuse it in the morning for an energizing boost, or just during the day while I'm cleaning for motivation. Am I the only one that needs motivation for cleaning? Lemon is very uplifting. So I use that internally, I use it topically, and I use it aromatically. It can be used all 3 ways. Lemon is so versatile. I had lemon in my Immune Boost Rollerball blend. The second oil that I use most often is lavender. Lavender is all things calming. So lemon, all things cleansing. Remember, think lymphatic system, think cleaning. All things calming is lavender. So lavender is good for skin. Maybe you deal with acne-prone skin. Maybe you deal with hormonal induced like skin irritations. Lavender is to the rescue. Lavender can go in your moisturizer. Lavender can go on burns and bites. Lavender can be used all over topically. It is a super safe oil and one of the safest oils for kids. But it's also good for calming emotions. So we use it at night. Mind chatter. Anybody have that at the end of the night? Maybe just me. All over the bottoms of the feet. Couple of drops in your hands that'll go on the bottoms of your feet, and then you deep inhale. Just cup it over your face just like that, and you rub the remaining all over your pillow. That is an amazing oil to induce restful sleep. In fact, this is one of the #1 oils that I share, because most people come back and say, whoa, I slept like a rock. Could that seriously have been the lavender oil? So that is a fun one to share. It's really great in the diffuser, just to create feelings of peace in your home, maybe after school or after work, just to kind of settle yourself down, and then right before bed. My favorite oil to pair with lavender in the diffuser at night is Breathe. Remember that respiratory blend I talked about way back at the beginning that I was first introduced to when my daughter wasn't feeling well? The respiratory blend is so powerful. It can open up your airways like nobody's business. 1 to 2 drops on your chest with a carrier oil, maybe something like this fractionated coconut oil or an unscented hand and body lotion. That is really good for all over the chest, maybe your upper back, and in the diffuser with lavender. So restful sleep, open airways. That is probably the #2 reasons why people are not, #1 and #2, why people are not sleeping well at night. They can't calm their mind, and they don't have open airways. So this is a really beautiful combo in the diffuser. Really good for people with restricted airways. I have talked with so many mamas who've got kids that are not breathing well in school and during the day. They just take 1 drop of that respiratory blend right in the middle of their hands, cup it, and just take deep breaths. Several times a day. I have had people that have been able to reduce dependency on other synthetic products because they were using that respiratory blend. Okay, there's 2 more that I have to talk about before we're done here, and it's only because we're in full-on winter season, right? It is On Guard, the protective blend, the immune boosting blend, and frankincense. I'm going to end with frankincense. On Guard, like I said before, is wild orange, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus. It smells like Christmas. It is so fun to diffuse in the fall because it smells so good. I actually had it diffusing at my in-laws over this last weekend for Christmas, and I had 3 people say out loud, "Are we making apple cider?" because they were smelling this. So no apple cider on the stove. This is what they were smelling in the diffuser. So I like to use this aromatically because it purifies the air. I like to use it topically because it boosts my immune system. If I'm not feeling well, I'll take 2 to 3 drops of this in an empty veggie cap with maybe a drop of frankincense or a drop of melaleuca, and I'll down the hatch with it. And that helps keep me up and above going under, right? That is on guard. So topically on your feet, on your spine, and then diffused is really powerful. Okay, the last oil we have to talk about tonight is frankincense. Do you know this is called the king of oils? So cool, right? They literally brought this oil to the king, our King Jesus, who we're going to celebrate, and hopefully you have been celebrating, but for sure on Sunday, right? It comes from a boswellia tree, the resin of a boswellia tree in the Middle East. It actually has to grow for 40 years before it'll produce that resin. And when it hardens, they can steam distill it into frankincense. And that's why this is considered an expensive oil. But it is quite the bang for your buck, because 1 or 2 drops can enhance every other essential oil and make it work more effectively. So it's called a driver oil or an enhancer oil. It actually drives the essential oils in deeper. So when I use the respiratory blend topically, I always try to add a drop of frankincense because it actually makes it work better. Frankincense pairs well with lavender for restful sleep. Frankincense pairs well with lemon to energize the mind, because frankincense is known to cross the blood-brain barrier. So remember when I was talking about testing and we see all of the compounds of the essential oils? We have tested some of those compounds like sesquiterpenes. Maybe you haven't heard that word before. That compound has been studied to cross the blood-brain barrier. So think about all of the diseases of the brain, and they're becoming more and more prevalent these days, right? It is so important that we have products that can cross the blood-brain barrier and impact our brain. So frankincense for head and neck tension, you can literally, for like debilitating head tension, maybe 1 drop on your thumb right to the roof of your mouth every 20 to 30 minutes can take care of that. Frankincense is good for skin. It's good for the immune system. There are so many compounds in frankincense that it can literally impact nearly every single body system in the body. So here's what we say about frankincense. Frank, when in doubt, get the frank out. So if you don't know what oil to use and you're new to oils, start with a drop of frankincense. And almost always that's going to take care of what you're dealing with. If not, then add another oil that it can enhance, like a respiratory blend or an immune blend or a calming oil or something like that. So those are my favorite essential oils. Now, there's like 63 that I could have gone through that doTERRA carries, and all I touched on was 5 tonight. But I feel like these 5 in this season and really all year long, it's kind of a no-brainer to not have these oils because we use them all the time. Even just last night, we came home from family Christmas and I could tell everyone was kind of sluggish. Callie started to cough a little bit. Cohen was like cranky, restless. And so everybody got on the massage table. We took off their shirt and their socks and we applied 4 oils to their spine. Frankincense, melaleuca, a massage blend called Aroma Touch. See, I have them on right here because we literally just did this last night. And then sometimes I'll use peppermint and sometimes I use lavender. Last night we did lavender because I wanted them to go to bed. So all of these oils, I took 1 drop of each oil and I rubbed it all along their spine and all over their feet. And everyone woke up happy tonight or this morning. And that doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes we go to bed and we're like preparing for what it's going to be like when we wake up in the morning. And so having these resources in my home are so empowering. Has anybody ever like made a good decision because of some research they had done or just like whatever it was and you felt so empowered? That's how I feel every single time I use these things and I get results. I feel so stinking empowered and so blessed that 3 years ago, my friend said, hey, have you tried oils? And I had no idea what she was talking about. And now here 3 years later, I found myself so intrigued and so like excited about these that I'm teaching about them and I'm inviting my friends to learn more. So maybe you're on the very beginning, you have hardly even touched the surface of essential oils and you want to get more involved, but you don't really know where to start. I think it's crazy to buy oils from the store and rely on the person selling them at the store for help. The people that order from doTERRA are on a team. You get to join a team with a wellness advocate. That's my title with doTERRA. I'm a silver wellness advocate. And so I advocate for your wellness. So when you enroll on my team, then I get to be your advocate and you get to text me. You get my cell phone number, you get my email, you get to come to my in-person classes. You can join my online classes that I do on more extensive things like skincare, digestive system, immune health, mood and mental health, all of those. And you get to join that and learn with me. So if your needs are immune related, then I'm going to give you all my rollerball recipes and all of my resources for you to help boost your immune system. Maybe you need better sleep. Maybe whatever you need, that's what you can get. So let me take 4 minutes. It'll take me 4 minutes. I'm going to look at the clock. In 4 minutes, I'm going to tell you how to get oils in your home if that's something that you're interested in. So here's how doTERRA works. It's not like walking into a grocery store or walking into a health food store and just buying off the shelf and depending on the cashier to be able to educate you. doTERRA works like a Costco. You get to enroll and get a membership and join a team. So when you do that, it costs just $35. And that gets you a membership for an entire year. That means you get to purchase all the essential oils that I talked about and all of the products that doTERRA makes. Maybe you want fluoride-free toothpaste that helps boost the oral health of your mouth. That's On Guard toothpaste. Maybe you need the Breathe vapor stick to help support restful airways. I don't know what you need, but doTERRA has hundreds of products and over 60 oils that they sell, and you can get them all at wholesale pricing for just that annual membership. The first year it's $35, and if you re-enroll the second year, it's just $25, and they send you a free peppermint oil. So I don't ever buy peppermint. I know that every year that I re-enroll, I'm going to be able to get a free one from doTERRA. So that's $25 for every year after that. But you're not required to re-enroll. There's no strings attached. It's literally like having a Costco membership. I pay my membership fee, and then at any time I can go in Costco and shop for products. And if I don't want to shop, I don't have to. Now that doesn't maximize my membership, but it's still, there's no requirements. There's no minimum monthly order. There's no yearly required orders. And I don't even have to re-enroll if after a year I'm still not using the oils or need to purchase again. So that's awesome. Retail pricing and wholesale pricing, the difference is 25%. So instead of paying 25% more, I think you should pay 25% less, get high quality oils with no fillers, no preservatives, sourced indigenously with a wellness advocate attached to it, so someone can help you learn how to implement these into rhythms and uses in your home. Maybe you're like me and you want to find a way to get out of the $35 enrollment. I was like, is there a way to not pay that? I actually asked that question. And that's when I learned that doTERRA has enrollment kits. So I know you're not going to be able to see all of this, everybody, but know that there are kits that you can get started with. And in fact, 2 of my favorite kits have the top 10 most used oils in everybody's home. So all of the oils that I talked about tonight, outside of the massage blend, all come in the starter kits. And if you purchase a starter kit, you don't have to pay the $35. You actually get a free membership for an entire year just by purchasing a kit. So that they range all the way from $150 to $2,500. So maybe your husband just gave you the go ahead and that's what you want, but most people start with what they feel like they can budget. And then we just build on there if you've got a wish list. But I want to send out that information to anybody that's interested. I took actually 3, did I take 8 minutes to go through that? Sorry about that. I got a little excited there. But I want to send out that information to anybody that's interested. So I need to get email addresses to do that. So I'm going to be giving away this Immune Boost Rollerball blend in this cute little pink rollerball. And I just need your email address to send you more information about ordering. It doesn't mean you have to order. It just means you're going to get information about ordering. And for every email address that I get for that, I'm going to put in an entry to give away this rollerball that I just made that you can have to boost your immune system all winter long. So I'm going to throw my email address on the bottom of this chat. There was a really good question that says, what is the difference between that one and the French? Are you talking about the lavender, French lavender? Maybe you want to clarify there. What's the difference between that one meaning the other brand, and doTERRA's French lavender? Perfect. The difference is going to be where they're sourced, and the sourcing makes the potency and the purity different. So if you have an oil that's sourced from France, the soil content is going to be different, the climate's going to be different, and so the end product is going to be different. So I've had a lot of people that are using oils from all different companies, and honestly, I have nothing bad to say about any other company. I just know that there's a difference, because most people tell me, I've been using oils for longer than you have, and I haven't ever gotten results like that you talk about. And I always say, why don't you try something that's sourced indigenously and see if that makes a difference? And it almost always does. It smells different. That's the first thing. My sister-in-law uses another company, and she said all of your oils smell different than mine. And in her opinion, doTERRA smelled better, but obviously anybody can have an opinion on that. But it's just different potency and purity. And when you realize that only 3 companies are testing essential oils, because you're not even required to test your products in the essential oil world, it's kind of freaky to think about what could actually be in those oils that you don't know about. So since you asked that question, you got me going on something. When you test oils, you can see the compounds, right? We talked about that. So cypress essential oil and frankincense essential oil, when you test those oils, there are a lot of very similar compounds across the board. So, but cypress is a $15 oil and frankincense is a $69 oil. So very different in price, right? And very different in compounds, because frankincense is known to cross the blood-brain barrier. The sesquiterpenes and all of those compounds do not match cypress, but a lot of them are similar. So some companies will take all the compounds of cypress and a few of them from frankincense, and they'll combine them, and then they'll label it frankincense because they can, because there's no regulation that says they can. So if they're not testing their bottles, if you don't have a way to look and source the testing and source the potency and where it's coming from, then you really have no idea what's in the bottle. And that makes me nervous. Not only nervous, maybe they're even safe, but are you getting the therapeutic value of the oils? Are you getting results? Are you feeling relief to your respiratory system? Are you having restful sleep? Are you boosting your immune system? Are you impacting your mood and mental health? So many things that I have seen results with essential oils, and I would just want to make sure that you're having those results too. Because if you're going to spend the money, make sure, I want to spend it on something that means something. One other thing to consider when you're considering pricing and sourcing is how much are the farmers getting paid for growing the essential oil. And doTERRA has committed to co-impact sourcing, meaning that if we're going to come into what are mostly third world countries and source these essential oils, then we want to make sure we leave that area in a way that it can be sustainable practice, sustainable forestry, if it's coming from the trees like the cypress and the arborvitae and all that, or sustainable living practices, allowing those families who have been harvesting these plants for years to have a proper wage. So I used to have a cinnamon essential oil. I maybe still do somewhere. It's $5.28 is what it costs for a 10 milliliter bottle of cinnamon essential oil. And that's the price that the store put on it. So that's the retail markup. That's retail pricing. That does not allow for testing. It doesn't allow for purity and potency. And even if it did, then my first thought is, what are we paying the Sri Lankans? That's what it says, cinnamon from Sri Lanka. What are we paying those people to harvest that? And it's not enough, and it's not fair. It's not fair. So that's important to me. If you want to look up all of that sourcing and co-impact sourcing, you can go to source2u, so SOURCETOUYOU.com, and you can look all the way from the farm all the way to the practitioners and the medical panel and everyone that reviews doTERRA's oils and learn all about that. All right, so I'm getting a couple emails here, so I am writing those down. Otherwise, you can just send me an email, and I'm going to send you information on how to get essential oils in your home. doTERRA is giving away a free oil this month for anybody that spends $200 getting started. And do you know what that oil is? Anybody want to guess? Frankincense! Free frankincense! Free frankincense for anybody that starts with essential oils with doTERRA in December, but it has to be placed by December 31st. And I'm adding a special bonus on there for anybody that also spends that same amount. I'm giving you, this is kind of a crazy thing, and all my leaders are going to go, wait, what? I'm giving away a free Essential Life book to anybody that purchases a $200 order this month. So this is my second Bible. I have the real one, right? That's one I should be reading more often than I probably am, admittedly, right? But this is my second Bible. It's called The Essential Life, and it is such an incredible resource for using oils. At the beginning, it has an index, all of the ailments that you can, it's a quick reference. So literally every single ailment that you can imagine goes through it, tells you exactly what oils to use, and it takes you back to a body system. So is it the skeletal system? Is it the digestive system? And then it's got actual recipes for all of those areas. So let's look at the integumentary system. So this is hair, skin, and nails. These are all of the oils that affect hair, skin, and nails. And then the next page is all recipes. So antifungal nail blend, greasy hair resolve, sunburn remedy, grapefruit exfoliating scrub, and it tells you all of the recipes. So if that's not enough, it walks you through every single essential oil and how to use it. So here's oregano essential oil. It tells you all of the top uses. It tells you what it blends well with, all of its top properties, that it was steam distilled. Here's the scientific constituents, and then all the research on the bottom. So this is like a $30 book on Amazon, and I'm going to give it to you actually free if you join my team in December, because I think it is one of the best months to get started, because most people on January 1st are looking to start improving their health again, right? We kind of let it go for a few weeks, maybe a few months. Maybe you've been letting your health go since the summer, and it's just time to get back on track. Then you need to get started on a team with a wellness advocate that can help you. So get started with some essential oils and get a free resource. So maybe you're not interested in this. Maybe you've already got a resource like that and you're just into the fun stuff, like me. I like fun stuff. So if you don't want a book like that, you can have my my rollerball kit. So it's got 10 colored roller balls with my rollerball case. So I'm going to give you my top 10 rollerball recipes and the roller balls in this case. And then we're going to get together once you get your oils, and we're going to fill them up and get them ready to go. So those are my two gifts. You get to choose one of those for joining my team. I'm going to email out the information. So make sure you send me just a quick email that just says, hey, I'm even somewhat interested. There's no strings attached. You're not required to order by sending me that email. You'll send it to JM, as in Melissa, Christopher, CHRISTOFFER @gmail. And then I'm going to send you a link to see some of the enrollment kits, and then just some pricing of some of the oils so that we can start a dialogue and answer some of your questions. Maybe you've got some specific questions on which oils can help this specific situation. And compliantly, I can't discuss all of those on this recorded class, but I'd love to talk with you in person about them. So I'm going to take the record.